What's up? Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. And all the viewers are smarter than the average bear. We're live on YouTube. Nash Hinton says technology requires finite resources. And we're live on Rockfin. What's up, Rockfin people? Got some people, William Osama hanging out, Rockfin. Rockfin. We're also live on Twitter. People hanging out with us on Twitter. And if you're on Twitter, please repost, like, share, comment all the way from Twitter if you can. But welcome, everyone. How you doing? All right. What's going on today? Anybody? Oh, I'm supposed to tell you what's going on today. But I get plenty of stuff from the people in the chats. You know what I'm saying? Cool. We're all here. Ain't nothing going on but the rant. That's just a saying. Well, let's start with this, I guess. You heard they declared peace in the Middle East? Oh, yeah. It's great news. I mean, it would be great if it was real. Israel. Anybody? Yeah, if only they would stop bombing innocent men, women, and children. Be great. Just goes to show you, just don't be born in the wrong country or born in the wrong skin color. Be born in the wrong place or time. You might be deemed an enemy combatant and be thusly bombed into non-existence. You know how they do. They do. It would help if they stopped putting our oil under their land. Yes. Yes, it would. Yeah, and the really, yeah, those the pesky ones are the babies, you know. Deline says, "Did you know that the U.S. used 4.9 million rounds of ammunition every month? Every month for 9 years in Iraq." I didn't know that, but it sounds about right. Oh, what did I see? Something related to that today on Twitter. Where is it? Oh man. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about today. To kill Taliban? Weren't the Taliban in Afghanistan? Who knows? I don't even think they know. Israel has dropped almost 75,000 bombs. Why? I mean, think about. I mean, it just doesn't even sound even. That doesn't even sound possible. The number, I'm believing the number. I'm just taking it on face value. 75,000 bombs. 75,000 bombs. Imagine all of those bombs stacked up somewhere in a warehouse or in a field. How big would a pile of 75,000 bombs be? What could possibly be left of Gaza after dropping 75? Well, actually nothing. Nothing's left. That's what happens when you drop 75,000 bombs onto a place that's, you know, what, the size of like half a Jersey or something. I mean, you know, if even that. Gaza is a small area. But that's what happens. Anyways, 75,000 bombs and shells on Gaza in 200 days. 20 times more. I just the number, I can't get this number to even make sense to me. 20 times more bombs than the U.S. aimed at Iraq in 6 years of war. 20 times more bombs used in 200 days than were used in 6 years of war in Iraq. I can't, it doesn't even, it's just, it doesn't compute. The world's 200 bloodiest days since the Rwandan genocide. It's not war, it's genocide. Try it. You'll like it. It's not war, it's genocide. You're soaking in it. Yeesh. I saw a really interesting video yesterday too about the actual history of how Israel came about. More factual history. It was interesting. I don't know if I'm going to play it. But, you know, it made you go, huh. Certainly made me go, huh. There's another Pfizer whistleblower. I don't know if I've seen I think she did something with James O'Keefe. You guys know James O'Keefe. Anyway, she has gone on the record and said she is not suicidal.
Hello, everybody. My name is Melissa McAtee, also known as Melissa Strickler. I am the Pfizer whistleblower that was in manufacturing quality for about 5 years at Pfizer, but employed total for about 10 years. I just wanted to put a video of my face out there with my voice stating I am not suicidal. Me and my husband have a happy, healthy marriage. I love my son. I love my family. We have no familial disputes, nobody with mental health issues. I've had no work done on my home, no work done on my car. If anything happens to me, it is big pharma, big tech, big gov. Nothing is done by myself or my family, my husband, anybody that we know. Just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Well, with good reason, right? Because, man, it's dangerous being a whistleblower. Oh, I don't know if I even played this yesterday. There was a things. Just hold on. Anybody see the song? The song Whistleblowing? Whistleblowing? Here we go. This is pretty good. I'll play this for you.
Little, but whatever. You can know a lot, you can know a little, but whatever you know, just don't blow the whistle. Joshua Dean had a memory keen, he was strong and he ran every day. But his lungs turned to goo and he had a stroke too. At 46, he was sent on his way. Swampy Barnett loved his mother and he took a lot of pride in his work. He found 300 reasons why a plane couldn't fly, and now he's over his head in the dirt. You can know a lot, you can know a little, but whatever you know, just don't blow the whistle. You can toot a flute, you can play the fiddle, but whatever you do, just don't blow the whistle, alright. Boeing's got planes in the sky, yeah, but Boeing's got men on the ground. Oh, you mess with the shares, buddy, beware. They can make sure that you land safe and sound. They keep cutting their deals with the FAA, USA, fantastic lawyers of law. A little blip of the whistle, cause they bonus a little, but you can't never see what you never did saw. You can know a lot, you can know a little, but whatever you know, just don't blow the whistle. Your life can be trash, completely dismal. It could always be worse if you just blow the whistle, alright. You can.
Good stuff. I like that. I do. Who's all watching on Twitter? Anybody watching on Twitter? Somebody send me a message on Twitter if you're watching on Twitter. Somebody get all up in the chats. Send me a hello, a howdy. How do you do? They're trying so hard to make it seem like nobody's watching the show. Pretty soon, they're going to just show like one person is watching the show. And I know, but there's like, I can see, 15 people in the chats at least. Maybe more. I know more, generally the rule is more people are watching than are in the chats, that are actually talking in the chats. It's so crazy. But they're going to try. They're going to really, really try to make it seem like, they're going to try and get me down to like 2 people are watching your show every day. While there's 20 people at least in the chat saying hello. It's such a joke. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how many people are watching. It's hard for me to. Things have been so skewed for so long. It's hard for me to gauge how many people are even listening or watching or listening to my show. I don't know. Who knows? Boeing stock up 0.52% today. 0.52%. Half a percent. Yeah, it's a pretty good song. I liked it. Anyways, wherever you're watching, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out and hanging in there. Y'all are the best. Excuse me. Let's see. Man, here's a couple things. I keep saying things that I think are happening in the world, and they turn out to be correct. I keep on being justified in the things that I'm saying about certain things. Well, thank you, contemplative pragmatist. Thank you for being here. $7.5 billion of $7.5 billion of your tax dollars has produced 7 electric vehicle charging stations. That comes out to about $1 billion per station, something like that. Joe Biden's green agenda is scamming American taxpayers. Well, yeah. The network of fast chargers promised by the Biden administration has had a painfully slow rollout. Yeah, money laundering. That's exactly what I said. Money laundering. Everything is a money laundering operation these days. Every freaking thing. There's hardly anything going on that is, directly, where the budget, the funding, the proposal, the financing, everything is actually run on like real numbers. Especially when it comes to like anything, government operation, throw a military operation in there, but like everything is a money laundering. Everything has some kind of scamming element to it. Anything that has a, fairly large budget. Everything at this point has some element of money siphoning or money laundering or both. But this is wild, right? $7.5 billion investment. Sounds like Haitian relief, earthquake relief. Right? Remember when they got like $6 billion raised and they built like 5 homes? Sounds something like that. Maybe there's $7.4 billion left in the fund, says John Glad. I don't think so. $7.40. Yeah. More like it. But yeah, when people are citing the the Inflation Reduction Act or whatever it's called these days as some kind of Biden's really putting it together. I got you, John. That's why I figured you were going there. And didn't I just say this? I just said this a few months ago. Whenever people say they're spending your tax dollars, no, they're not. Your tax dollars are marginal to anything. Your tax dollars are just they're just trying to get you to cough up some dough. You're being taxed not, everywhere you go, not just once a year. You're being taxed on everything, right? The food you buy, the gas you buy, the car you drive, everything. Transfer of money, keeping your money in it. You don't get money anymore for keeping your money in a bank, right? You actually end up getting charged a lot of times for that. Everything is a tax, right? So you get taxed. Anyways, this is Bukele, which he's the president of Nayib Bukele is the president of El Salvador. And here he is basically saying exactly what I said a few months ago. Almost to the word.
When I talk to my conservative friends right here, they always tell me that the problem is high taxes, but they're wrong. The real problem is not the high taxes themselves, but the fact that they are not even really funding the government. Not even those high taxes, higher than a lot of places in the world, not even those taxes are really funding the government. So who's financing the government? Government is financed by treasury bonds, paper. And who buys the treasury bonds? Mostly the Fed. And how does the Fed buy them? By printing money. But what backing does the Fed have for that money being printed? The treasury bonds themselves. So basically, you finance the government by printing money out of thin air. Someone could ask, well, so if the government can print the limited amounts of money out of thin air, why do they collect taxes? The answer is simple, but it's very shocking. The real problem is that you pay high taxes only to uphold the illusion that you are funding the government, which you are not. When I talk to my conservative friends right here, they always tell me...
That's exactly it. It's just a control mechanism. Just to get you, everybody got to pay your taxes, comply. So, everybody's paying their fair share. Everybody's helping to fund things. And, no. I mean, not these days. Maybe it worked like that in the past. Maybe there was some element of reality to the financial mechanisms of the government and taxes and all that kind of stuff in the past, like long time ago, a long time ago. Maybe there was some reality to it. But this is what it is. And this is why everything is a money laundering scheme, right? You just print the money, you give it to the government or whatever. They do the magic math of treasury bond. Oh, yeah, they print the money. They make all these budget. Oh, we're sending $100 billion to Ukraine. We're sending $100 billion to Israel. We're sending whatever. We're passing the Inflation Reduction Act. This is $1 trillion bill. We're sending, it's just these insane monumental amounts of money that don't actually relate to any, like nothing costs that much money. Nothing. Not one thing costs that much money. Ever. Nothing costs that much money. Right? If you build a football stadium, it does not cost, $5 billion. No, get out of here with that. $5 billion. Like if you actually broke down the actual cost of building like a football stadium, it would probably be like, I don't know, $30 million or, something, maybe. They just say it costs $5 billion. Why? Because they got the financing for it. They got, the banks gave them the money and they spread the money around and they lined their pockets and lined everybody else's pockets and they did the whole thing and they inflated their stocks and they, right? All this money was used to just, whatever. And the actual cost of the building of the stadium was, it's just in there somewhere, but very, very small amount compared to what it is that they say that it costs. Same thing happens with every single, right? Every single thing that they say they're, doing with this money. It's just, all of it is a freaking scam. It's a scam. And the people in charge just line their pockets, whether you're in charge of a corporation or you're a politician or you're in the, wherever you are, you're just part of the big grease machine that are these huge budgets. But nothing has anything to do with the taxes that you're paying. No, not at all. Anyways. He's saying what I've said. So thank you, Bukele, for saying what we already knew, or what a lot of people already know. Well, let's see. Crops. It's hard to grow crops on a discombobulated planet. You know what I'm saying? Hard to grow crops on a discombobulated planet. Let's look at this article from The Guardian. I'm a British farmer. Here's the scary truth about what's happening to our crops. Climate crisis is making the farming business unsustainable. And without support for us, food security will suffer too. This is Guy Singh Watson, is the founder of Organic Veg Box. Farming has always been a risky business. To the chaos of Brexit and the relentless squeezing of the supermarkets, we can add the rapidly escalating threats associated with climate change. In most industries, at the point where risk is judged to outweigh the potential commercial reward, both capital and people tend to make a swift exit, following economist Adam Smith's invisible hand of self-interest. The problem with farming is that most farmers are emotionally invested in their work. An exit is seldom considered. Perhaps we should be more like the bankers, but they wouldn't be much good at growing potatoes. Around the world, farming practices evolve in response to past success. Over 30 years, I've recorded planting and harvest dates, temperature and yields, using data to guide my decisions, just like generations of farmers before me. But over the past decade, as the pace of change in weather patterns has accelerated, the value of that accumulated experience has become increasingly irrelevant. For most farmers, this last year has been about grabbing rare, good weather windows and trying to make the most of wet conditions as we repeatedly fail to get crops sown. As the risk of crop failure has grown, margins have shrunk, meaning there is nothing in the bank to pay for the bad years. Farm gate prices have been driven down to levels which in a good year just about cover costs, but leave nothing to cover crops lost to adverse weather. Much of the UK's arable land was unpassable with machinery. From mid-October to mid-April, many farmers couldn't sow an autumn crop of barley or wheat, and the crops that were sown often failed or rotted in waterlogged seed beds. I played you the video of the potato farmer who couldn't get any potatoes out of the ground. By the time it was dry enough to sow, it was too late to establish an economically viable crop. For the worst affected, the loss is nearly 100%, with the UK's wheat, barley, oats, and oilseed rape production projected to drop 17.5% this year. In horticulture, the biggest problem has been delayed spring plantings. Pushed back to late April for lettuce, this 6 to 8 week delay in planting will shorten the season by up to 3 weeks, as well as disrupting sales and work patterns and annoying customers through failure to supply. Even assuming that the rest of the summer is favorable, this loss of time from a 20-week season is catastrophic for a grower operation on the tightest of margins. Any chance of a profit gone before we sow the first seedling. I also read with mounting frustration suggestions by some academics that rising temperatures and levels of CO2 in the atmosphere increase the potential for photosynthesis and therefore crop yields. Farmers don't work in a lab. It is not averages that determine our crop performance. It is the extremes that have to be managed in order to give the crop any chance of approaching its theoretical maximum yield. That's a really great point there. As a result of poor UK harvests, there is also mounting anxiety over rising beer and bread prices. Most farmers receive less than 1% of the profit made from the food they grow. About 5 pence of the price of your pint is accounted for by the cost of the malting and barley used in its brewing, and for bread, it's between 10 and 20 pence per loaf for the wheat used to bake it. If farmers achieved a very unlikely 30% price rise to compensate for an anticipated 30% yield loss, it would add a few pennies to the price tag. I suspect much of the public would support these modest, justifiable increases if it meant keeping British farmers in business. Unfortunately, that's not how our food system works. Of the 20% food inflation experienced by the public, supposedly attributable to picking labor, fertilizer, and fuel prices due to the Ukraine war, that was strangely worded, a minuscule proportion made its way back to the farmer. Tesco made a $2.3 billion pound profit last year, while 49% of fruit and veg farmers fear they'll be out of business before the end of this one. Money talks. It's the managing of the extremes. The managing of extremes, right? It doesn't really matter. It's not the planet, the temperature of the planet has risen 1.5 degrees. That's the average, right? It's not about the 1.5 degrees that's doing the damage. It's the extremes that come with the rise in the 1.5, right? And those extremes can be sometimes cold extremes, right? Too much rain, not enough rain. Too hot, too cold. Season starts early. Here's what's happening here. The plants are not. It's actually the plants are just starting to feel like it's spring now. It's May, almost the middle of May, which is kind of late, right? We had cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot. It was warm maybe maybe a month ago. It started getting warmer. Like, hey, it's going to be spring, and all the plants started like budding and blossoming and getting happy, and and then it just went back to being like cold, rainy, cloudy, cold, rainy, cloudy. Oh, warm one day, cold, rainy, cloudy. It's just the back and forth is confusing the plants and making it hard for them to, some of the plants I've noticed are struggling because they don't know which way it's going. So it's, that has an overall effect on how plants fare. We've talked about this many times. Many, many, many times. Friends and neighbors. Okay. Let's see. You guys are talking about the biggest carbon footprints of sports. Sports teams are horrible for the planet. Like, I know it's nice distraction for some people, but man, the absolute waste and consumption. I mean, literally, a sports team is all about consumption. Non-essential, completely right, indulgent consumption. None of it is necessary for anybody's lives, right? Except for maybe the people that are playing the game. Right. There's lots of workers and all kinds of people that are in the right. They're working and they're making money. So as a job creator, I guess sports teams are good. But again, the amount of energy it takes to, put on a game or keep a team going is just like, it's just crazy. Crazy amounts of money. And energy. I feel like we've got so much more to cover. Here's a UN expert who attacks exploitative world economy in a fight to save the planet. Oh, well, yeah. The economy is exploitative, you say. Outgoing Special Rapporteur David Boyd said there's something wrong with our brains. We can't understand how grave this is. Yeah. I'd say there's something wrong with our brains. The race to save the planet is being impeded by a global economy that is contingent on the exploitation of people and nature, according to the UN's outgoing leading environment and human rights expert. Boyd said, he told The Guardian that states failing to take meaningful climate action and regulating polluting industries could soon face a slew of lawsuits. I started out 6 years ago talking about the right to a healthy environment having the capacity to bring about systemic and transformative changes. But this powerful human right is up against an even more powerful force in the global economy. It would be the global economy. A system that is absolutely based on the exploitation of people and nature. Unless we change the fundamental system, then we're just reshuffling deck chairs on the Titanic. Yes. Et cetera, et cetera. The right to clean, healthy, and sustainable environment was finally recognized as a fundamental human right by the United Nations in 2021-22. Some countries, notably the U.S., the world's worst historic polluter, argue that UN resolutions are legally influential but not binding. The right to a healthy environment is also enshrined into law by 161 countries, with the UK, US, and Russia among notable exceptions. Boyd, a Canadian environmental law professor, said human rights come with legally enforceable obligations on the side of states. So I believe that this absolutely should be a game changer, and that's why states have resisted it for so long. Well, yeah. What else is going on? Oh, now's the time, guys. If you appreciate the show, if you like this content coming to you for free every single day, Monday through Friday, you might want to consider financially supporting this show. And I could always use your support. There are lots of ways to do it. Lots of links in the description boxes of whatever platform you're watching on. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, Zelle, coffees, all kinds of ways. And to the people that already support the show, there are many of you. You know who you are, and I really appreciate you, guys. Definitely appreciate y'all. A few more things here, maybe. Oh, we were talking about the halt and the shipment of arms to Israel being probably nothing, nothing really major. And, as suspected, Biden is claiming he won't provide the weapons Israel needs to invade Rafah, but he literally already has. Right? So they made another announcement, I think yesterday, that, we're not gonna provide the weapons. You guys can't be just going in and bombing. Aren't they already bombing the ever living mess out of Rafah? I kind of feel like it's a little late. Don't you go in there and bomb them. It's kind of like 1.5. Like, hey, I hope we don't blow past the 1.5 guardrail. Dude, it was 1.7 the last 6 months. I don't know what you're talking about. You better not go in there and bomb Rafah. We've been bombing them for the last 2 weeks. But I don't know. What do you? Okay. They are currently bombing Rafah, indeed. Anyways, Biden says U.S. won't supply weapons. Despite the pause, the Israeli military has enough weapons supplied by the U.S. and other partners to conduct the Rafah operation if it chooses to cast aside U.S. objections. They're like, oh no, we already got all the weapons from you, so well, that's too bad. Yeah. There was a lot of suspicions that this was just a PR move, and it looks that way. More from the babbling Biden. The babbling biscuit head Biden. Biden repeats the ridiculous anti-constitutional fiction that students' political speech is against the law if it can be claimed as hate speech. That's what the whole hate speech thing is all about, right? Because it's not about, sure, hate speech is bad. It's still speech. And speech is protected, right? So there are already laws about, threatening people and, speech there's already laws about speech that goes over the line, but they're using the hate speech thing as a way to basically as an end around to free speech, right? If you can deem anything that goes against the narrative or goes against what you want people to say, or you want to shut people up, you can just call them racists, whatever, anti-Semites, racists, terrorists, fascists, conspiracy theorists, blah, blah. You can just call them whatever you want and just say, well, that's hate speech because you're a bad person, and I said you're a bad person, and I think this is hate speech. So even though, this is a narcissistic abuse tactics 101. Biden repeats the ridiculous anti-constitutional fiction that students' political speech is against the law. If it can be claimed as hate speech, he then babbles something about the Holocaust. Meanwhile, the brain-melted GOP calls him anti-Israel. Right? Remember before the last election, they were like, these Democrats are communists. I'm like, really? Are they? Last I checked, I think they were part of the same fascist club that the GOP's in, right? It's the Uniparty. They're all the same. They're extremely right-wing. The Democratic Party is extremely right-wing party, an extreme right-wing party. They are not left of anybody. They are left of nobody except for the extreme right-wing Republican Party, but not even really, they're not even left of them. The Republican Party is more left than the Democratic Party at this point on most things. Check the record, right? Check what the Republican Party is mainly against. They seem to hold more progressive ideals than even the Democratic Party at this point. So the Democratic Party is probably the more right-wing party in this country at this point. And Biden is like the head super fascist right-winger of that party. But when the GOP calls them, the Democrats, calls him anti-Israel, it's just stupid. Or calls the Democrats communists, it's just stupid. U.S. politics equals a mental asylum, right? Well, it's just people. It's people throwing around labels and words that don't mean anything because they don't mean anything. They're not using them in the correct way. But people, a lot of low information folks out there who don't understand. They're like, well, yeah, oh yeah, totally communist. I don't even know what communism means. I just heard somebody say it on the I don't know, on the Rush Limbaugh show or the Alex Jones show or the some et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Tell Bernie I want my $300 back, says Bella. Bernie's good friend. Yeah, is my good friend Biden. Oh, we're both very good friends. I've worked with him on many things. What else? Oh, I'll leave you with this. Happy, not so happy. Look at the state of people's finances. Sorry, taking too long to load this. What's wrong with me? Ah. All right, got some more people watching, or at least they're attempting to let me know that more people are watching. That's cool. That's cool. So glad you guys are all here. Let's see. The middle isn't dying. The middle class is dead. In 1983, making $30,000 a year is equivalent of making $164,000 a year in 2023 and 2024. Yeah. 30 grand a year was good money in 1983. Here's what a bare minimum cost of living comparison would look like. In the 1950s, the average household income was around $3,000. The average house cost around $5,000. It wasn't too hard. You had about 2.5 times your annual salary, and you could afford a car and a house. Nowadays, people are making an average of $74,000 a year. $74,000, that's the average, really? I feel like 74,000 is still pretty dang good, even though it's, for some people, they think it's, some people think 74,000 is a scrape. And I say, nay. I say unto thee, nay. $74,000 is not a scrape. You could probably live on 74 grand. For sure. 100 grand, for sure. But anyways, so what would be considered 70? So people are making an average of 74 grand in household income, and the average house is around 450 grand. Yeah, true. So yeah, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with the math there? I would say the average house is I mean, maybe nationwide 450 grand. It's a lot of money. That's $500,000. In a lot of places, 450 is long gone for a 2 or 3 bedroom house. Like in LA, 450 would be cheap. Like cheap. So what would be considered middle class? The bare minimum of middle class in America right now in 2024 would be about $174,000 a year. That's not doing well. That's just meeting the bare minimum. Maybe. Anyways, let's listen to the breakdown.
$4,000 a year. And that's not doing well. That's just
In 1983, making $30,000 a year is
equivalent of $164,000 a year in 2023 and 2024. Yes, that's right. In addition, the middle class isn't dying. The middle class is dead. In the 1950s, the average household income was around $3,000, and the average house cost around $5,000. It wasn't too hard. Yet, about 2.5 times your annual salary, and you could afford a car.
Creative Experiment says you need $250,000 a year for zero debt. Okay. That's fair. But I see a lot of people wondering, like talking about what an actual hourly minimum wage might be. If you really wanted to live, comfortably, it's got to be like 35 or 40 an hour. Right? In a lot of places they've raised the minimum wage, like California, like $20 I think now. Or I think they raised it to 16, but now I think it's up to 20. But $20 an hour ain't jack. $20 an hour is a scrape. That is a scrape. Like if you're making $20 an hour, it's a scrape in LA for sure. 25, 30 is a little less of a scrape, still scraping. Because the rent is so damn high. Yeah, you need like 35, 40 to really like relax a little bit. But we'll see where it goes from here. I don't know. There's a lot of very negative feelings about the economy these days. I'm just trying to move forward, try to do my best. Beside that, I can't tell you. I can't call it, man. Oh, Brainworm. I forgot about that one. Thanks for reminding me. All right, we'll leave you with this. Some people, there were a lot of jokes about this story. Thanks for reminding me. Brainworm is the word for the day. Presidential candidate RFK Jr. had a brainworm, but recovered. I don't know why that's funny. Anyways, literally had a parasite that ate part of his brain. What? It was a wild story. Laugh track, yeah. Independent U.S. presidential candidate RFK Jr. had a parasite in his brain more than a decade ago, but has fully recovered, his campaign said. Did they need to divulge this? Was this going to be in like opposition research or something? Was somebody gonna spill the beans on the brainworm and they had to make a statement? It's weird. Biden had 2 brain abscesses. At least 2 that we know of. Citing a 12-year-old deposition, the Times said Kennedy stated that a doctor had told him an abnormality on his brain scan was caused by a worm that got into my brain and ate a portion of it and then died. My God. Kennedy traveled extensively in Africa, South America, and Asia in his work as an environmental advocate, and in one of those locations contracted a parasite. Kennedy spokeswoman Stephanie Speer told Reuters. The issue was resolved more than 10 years ago, and he is in robust physical and mental health. He does seem like he's very healthy. I mean, for 70 years old, he's pretty healthy, and he's kind of ripped, right? He was doing like the whole push-ups with his shirt off a couple months ago. And I was like, dang, RFK Jr. kind of yoked. Shoot. People saying that he's, might be taking steroids to get that ripped. I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. I mean, it's it's his health. The worm didn't eat the pro-Israel part of RFK's brain. Creative experiments. Yeah. Kennedy was challenging Republican form of blah 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 blah, and all the people, right? This is weird. Kennedy took to social media platform X to make light of the health scare. I offer to eat 5 more brainworms and still beat President Trump and President Biden in a debate. I'll take those odds. The 2012, because I mean he can, at least Kennedy can put together some sentences. Trump can kind of put together some sentences, and he's got some good one-liners. Biden, I don't know. It's no. Anyways, so that, brainworms. Who knew? All right, guys. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. And especially thank you for the conversation. I appreciate you. Hold on. Let me make sure. Let me check in and see if I didn't miss anybody or anything, any important messages. I don't know. Are you guys going to do the global strike for Rafah tomorrow? Is that a thing that people are doing? You unsub. What is Ring of Fire? I don't know what that is. I have no idea what Ring of Fire is. Is everybody? Are people striking for Rafah, or are people going about their business tomorrow? Well, we will be here in solidarity with Rafah, and we will be offering some coverage of what's going on there. Of course, we've been talking about it almost daily. So, but if you guys are doing any kind of boycotting tomorrow, I support you, and solidarity with y'all. But we'll be here. We'll be back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and we'll have a conversation and whatnot. All right. All right. We will see you tomorrow. Until next time. Peace.